Welcome to the Doom Den. I am Dr. Doom, or as my parents call me, Dr. Tom McKnight. So, we have quite a few bits of crazy shit going on right now. For one, big fires out west. Two, a huge ass-kicking Category 4 hurricane will roll up right around the Louisiana-Texas border with huge storm surge, very strong winds, and a lot of precipitation. I suppose the only somewhat good news of that is it's not as slow moving as like Hurricane Harvey or a couple of the other ones. But nonetheless, it's still going to raise a whole lot of havoc in those areas. And of course, the heaviest winds are around the eye wall. However, there's a whole lot of rain that's going to be falling for a couple 100 miles each side of that eye wall. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of houses, work, businesses, and of course, all the response people at every government level are going to be very busy for quite a while. And it's one of the, when it comes to that particular hurricane, Laura, it was one of the, in ways, one of the weirdest ones. Because it didn't have really accurate direction the whole time it was started in development. Started as, of course, like the depression and subtropical system, and then got its name. And was on a first projection right through the little chute area between Florida and Cuba, and going right into the Gulf, where it's going to hit the coast from Mississippi to Alabama. And as it moved and went all through the Dominican Republic and Cuba, this direction changed a little bit and started to forecast around Louisiana, Mississippi, and then it kept moving over to now where it's pretty much bullseyed on the Texas-Louisiana border area. And just for making preparations earlier this week, and it was looking more like it was going to hit this area around Mississippi, my motorhome is all loaded and ready to go, and I was actually ready to haul ass if needed. But I changed course, so my best bet is actually staying put. That's not to say that we're anywhere close to out of the danger area. The National Weather Service still predicting around 25 named storms this year, and several other due to be major hurricanes. So when it comes to a higher number of storms predicted, it really increases the chances of them making landfall. So far this year, we got Cristobal that did make landfall in mainland U.S. And yes, it was actually right around where I live, and there was a whole lot of rain that came with Cristobal. And it actually drowned quite a bit of my chili plants. However, it wasn't a real devastating thing. But everybody in the emergency world and any of the public safety world around these parts all got together, and they all took the appropriate protective measures just to gear up for a little bit worst case scenario. So everybody pretty much learned lessons. Okay, if we got something coming our way, let's get to it. Let's take extra measures. Even say, hey, if nobody feels safe, and if somebody doesn't feel safe, yes, good idea, get the hell out of Dodge, type of thing. And it's not as bad, and they put up more protective measures than needed. Okay, well, hey, we were ready for a lot worse. Instead of the opposite, where, well, they don't, and then a little lot worse happens, and then a whole lot more bad things also happen. So that was good. And now for the evacuations for the Texas-Louisiana border, those people have a whole lot of experience in dealing with hurricanes and disasters. So even the governor of Louisiana made a pretty good statement about the danger that everybody was in, and to get people off the coast and be aware of the storm surge. And that and that potential, but also to be aware of the rain and the flooding that comes with all the rain. So there's other things that learned from the past few years or so. When it comes to hurricanes, yes, storm surge bad for the direct coast. Yes, winds very bad. They can go a lot farther inland. However, some of the most bad part of it is going to be all the rain and the water that causes a whole lot of flooding and actually most of the damage. So when it comes to hurricanes, yes, the wind speed is a major factor. However, one of the biggest factors that's the hardest to pinpoint is how much flooding is it going to cause and how far inland. Well, in this case of Laura, where we see a good track of the storm that goes right up Louisiana on the Texas border, and then will bend and head towards Tennessee and back onto the East Coast. So what we have there is a potential for very widespread flooding. And yeah, how bad the flooding is going to be really all depends on how fast that system moves. If it slows down anywhere and starts creeping along, well, it might be a whole lot worse flooding for a lot farther of a distance. So anyone just keep an eye on its track and stay prepared as best as possible. And also keep an eye out for any other coming systems that might be developing in the Atlantic, or if somebody's on the other end in the Pacific. As Hawaii's had more than their fair share of tropical storms in the past few years. So have other U.S. territories, in general, such as Guam, American Samoa, Saipan. So I don't want to forget about those good Pacific people. So the next batch of shit that is going on is another batch of riots and looting and all kinds of craziness that look like it's right out of one of the Purge movies. And that kind of bullshit is why there's such a huge number of firearm sales increases this past year. But nobody knows literally what's going to happen, and then that kind of crazy shit kicks off, and people realize, well, fuck, now I need to have a way to protect myself from actual bad people. And along with that, of course, you need ammunition to go along with the firearms. So then now there's a bit of an ammunition shortage, as always what happens when there's a big demand or a big increase of firearm sales. And there's not an actual season for the rioting, looting, people doing bad shit to bad people type of scenarios. So when is that going to end? It's very, very, very hard to say. Are national political leaders doing a very good job at it? Nope. On one hand, they're criticizing everybody else for racist beliefs, which is not true. And they're doing absolutely nothing or demanding no justice be served to those people that are doing the rioting, looting, and doing bad shit to people and property. And on the other hand, they're saying we support the police and we support the rights of people to peacefully protest, but we don't like what the looters and rioters are doing, basically. And yes, states have activated National Guard. There's been a lot of other people that just tend to mosey on over to areas, I guess, seemingly to help out. And there's not enough information known to me at this time on how well they're actually helping. So we'll get to know more about that as time progresses. And again, no comment about the one incident that set one of those things off in Wisconsin, because a whole lot is not known about what actually happened on that incident. Very short video clips. That shows something kind of fucked up looking to be happening. However, was that person actually going for a weapon? None of us know, because the video clip doesn't really show anything. Well, let's say I want to comment though that you had two people with their firearms drawn out chasing around the guy. You know, he kind of broke free of him earlier. They really should have been able to just get that guy on the ground, cuff him if he moved, tase him, hit him with a big jolt of electricity, and drop his ass right there. And again, it's easier to say that while looking at the video other than really being there. But then again, he wasn't waving a weapon around or anything, so yes, he could have been dropped with a good voltage of electricity. Now, for all the other shit that broke out, yeah, there's really no reason for that. Because rioting, looting, breaking into people's houses, business, burning cars, burning dump trucks, burning trash cans, all of that shit is about is people wanting to get away with doing really destructive and bad shit. They're not gonna increase the chance of better social justice. They're not gonna end any type of racism by doing that kind of shit. All they're gonna do is create more animosity, and then all the good people that live in their areas that are tired of getting their shit burnt and destroyed are gonna say, you know what, fuck this, let's stop these assholes ourselves. And then we're gonna have a whole world of shit on our hands. So if their whole idea is just to create chaos and almost a sense of anarchy where people run around shooting each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, well, whoever put that in, if that was a goal, and whoever put that into motion, I suppose it's somewhat successful for the time being until it's stopped. But you know, certain people in a certain city in this country are going to take the credit no matter how it ends. And even though they had absolutely nothing to do with how it ends or will end, they're still going to take all the credit for it. I'll just show a picture of my motorhome out there, all ready to go, in case it can be seen. So, on to the fires. Hundreds of thousands of acres burning, and a whole lot of fires in multiple states out west. And it continues to be a fairly dry and drought condition out there. It's hard to say when that fire season will end, and how many homes and how many people's lives are going to be changed forever because of that. Hats off to all firefighters and everybody working in response to get those fires contained and under control, and doing all that hard work out there as well. So fires, yes, they generally have seasons during the dry time. Hurricanes have a season from beginning of June to the end of November. However, the rioting, looting, and other bad shit that bad people are doing doesn't have a season. And so we all know when it really began this time around. We don't know at this time when it will end. Every little thing that comes up on TV and people in their videos that show bits and pieces of a certain act, it just gets spread all over the internet. People jump to the conclusion, and then all of a sudden there's rooting and rioting and dumb shit going on in another city. Then of course you got lovely cities like Portland that's just collapsing, for lack of a better word, in a place like Chicago where, yes, the police are out. Of course, they're doing everything they can to protect themselves and the public. And the chief of police in Chicago made some really great speeches on how his department is really wanting to get with their job and protect the public, and denouncing any of those acts of violence and looting and rioting and other crazy shit that's going on in the city. So he has a very difficult job to do in a very difficult time. I definitely wish the best for him. Let's see, what kind of questions do people normally ask? From an emergency management standpoint or overall public safety standpoint, which they all really roll into one. So how to protect your assets during times of trouble. Well, let's look at it from a critical infrastructure standpoint. We're protecting critical infrastructure, ensuring critical services are maintained. So one, yes, continuity planning is major. Find out all your core capabilities and everything that you need to do to protect and to maintain continuity. So it can be an extensive planning process, especially when you're talking about a critical infrastructure asset. There's multiple working parts. The organizations are usually pretty large with a lot of facilities. So that's one. And as critical infrastructure, yes, it does include utilities, including power, wastewater, water treatment. It includes central government buildings. It includes places like hospitals, of course, police stations, fire stations, throw them into the critical government buildings as well. And all those critical services, yes, there may be a different approach to how they protect their facilities. Yes, of course, the planning and continuity to keep operations running. And there's also the physical protection element. Is it a place that is there a huge human threat? Well, obviously there is a huge human threat at this particular time being, this particular moment in time. So, yes, all of those critical services need to maintain their operations. They also need to protect all their people. The people need to be able to go to work in safety, and they need to be able to go home to their families at the end of the day. So a couple of, I guess, protection methods for maintaining the facility itself and its ability to provide those services. Some places, let's say a police station, for instance, a real OPSEC, operation security standpoint, would be a very good approach, and really requires people just keeping vigilant, keeping an eye out for any suspicious behavior, people tagging them or following them, observing different people's behavior that are loitering around the particular facility. I mean, yes, a lot of them depend on their size. Police stations already have a lot of people walking around armed and are very capable of, providing security for their installation. However, there's places that they may want to bring in security guards whose whole job is to basically cover the entrances and exits and other areas while all of the regular police officers are very, very busy doing all various parts of their job. Places that don't normally have a lot of people at their everyday job walking around armed, well, they might need to get someone that can sit there and either sit and control the entrances, keep a good eye around the perimeters, and be able to coordinate and collaborate with various other parties about people and any type of unusual behavior. Like if there's a power generation plant and the security personnel, either the roving patrols or the stationary ones, are observing certain vehicles parked a certain distance away, and it looks like, hey, they keep eyeballing our place. They even have binoculars and they're keep glancing over and looking at our facility. And then one car will leave and another one will take its place. So it looks like, hey, they're having us under surveillance all times of the day. So they're able to know when all our movements are, when our people come in, go out. What are they planning on doing? Well, it'd be a good idea. That's when the coordination and collaboration with other outfits is helpful. You definitely collaborate with the police department saying, hey, there's these vehicles over there and it looks like they have us under surveillance all the time. There's something you can help us out with. and be able to relay that information on to law enforcement and even other security personnel within the organization. And then, of course, screening people will keep an eye inside the plant. For one, yes, make sure all the people are safety of the people, and make sure that someone that wants to do something bad to anybody doesn't start doing something bad to somebody inside of the workplace. So, if anybody really likes to talk shit about the private security people, you might want to rethink that, because those guys actually can have a bit difficult job than it initially is realized. And yes, we all know the police officers' job in general is pretty hard. They get to deal with pissed off people, crazy people, people that just lost loved ones, and bad traffic accidents, or people's brains and guts and all kinds of shit is just spread all over the road. So yes, between firefighters and EMTs, they all get to see some of the worst stuff, and just keep in mind how difficult their jobs really are. And so also chat a little bit about some others whose job can get pretty difficult and that are often left in the background. In that case, we'll talk about our public works and utilities people. They're the ones that keep the lights on. They keep good water running. They keep the shit from overflowing in the streets, literally. So no matter what type of emergency goes on, all the public works and utility guys are out there first thing, making sure the streets are draining well, going into sewers and confined space entry for various reasons to keep things running. They're the ones climbing up on a tower to splice the lines when a tornado knocks down a whole line of power. So in very big emergency situations, it takes a whole lot of people working together, doing all their pieces of work in order for the entire community to get functioning again. So we should dig really heavily into the response, because it's a very appropriate time. And it's even a very appropriate time for oncoming peril preparedness, like the hurricane. People sandbagging, people are evacuating. They're getting food to last them for a little while. Taking all the food out of the stores, and they're on the shelves, and either finding a place where they can be safe, or in this particular storm, they're getting the fuck off of the coast is the only way to get really safe. Unless you have a really cool halfway underground bunker submarine type of facility that you might see in an Avengers movie, like an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. base underground, made of concrete and steel. Yeah, I think it'll probably be all right staying on the coast, but most of us really can't afford something that cool. So getting off the coast is the best option. And then on people like a lot farther inland, yes, putting sandbags on the buildings, keep water from going in and messing all the stuff up inside, another very valuable step. And another thing, when it comes to emergency, making sure that every family member knows their communication plan and keeps in contact with each other. So if there's any kind of separation, they know where to go and meet up with each other. So that's more at the individual level. Businesses, of course, yes, they're going to maintain they're going to get, if possible, they're going to get sandbags, they're going to board up their windows and get the hell out of there. All the response personnel, yes, they're barricading the streets. They might be doing lane reversals to make traffic flow only in one direction on every single lane of the freeway to get people as far away from the main part of the danger as possible. And yeah, it's really working collaboratively between state, county, or parish and local jurisdictions to make all that happen. And there's places where they know it's going to flood, where they're going to barricade the streets off, make sure people don't go in and get themselves stuck into a very bad situation. Of course, other agencies are mobilizing their resources to be able to come in with needed items such as food, water, medical related items, and vehicles. There might even be some outfits around that are being able to coordinate and identify, like refrigeration trucks in case that there's a mass casualty, mass mortality event. So all of those resources get pre-positioned is really part of a right before shit hits the fan preparedness measure. Or places where there's a lot of human-caused issues, or a lot of places, a lot of those pre-shit hitting the fan preparedness measures really can be looking at what's going on in all those other cities and looking at some of their own practices and even personnel and saying, okay, we need to prevent that from happening here. Take a hard look at all the people, have good discussions. Yeah, definitely get to know your people. Real team building. I don't mean just covering for your buddy type of bullshit. That's really not team building. But everybody getting to know everybody within the organization, and then even knowing and making sure that everybody is getting a lot of decompression time. They're taking care of their mental health. They're able to relax and enjoy time off work. That's very, very important. Some of the people that actually do end up doing some bad shit that gets a lot of these things, those riots and looting and protests kicked off. Well, it's really because people weren't paying attention to that person's mental health to begin with, and they were allowed to stay on a job while they were, well, they have a lot of power over people, and they are also carrying a potentially dangerous object, also known as a firearm. Getting to know the people, getting to know their mental health, their physical health, keeping people in good health, making sure they decompress, make sure they take time off. Very, very important. And I just did repeat myself because it needed to be repeated. I know there's a lot of people that just like to, hey, I'm gung ho, I just want to work and work and work. Yes, overtime money, good. I don't have anything else to do, so I'm just going to work. Well, that's a really, really horrible practice. People need life outside of the work. They need a work-life balance. They need to be able to decompress, relax, go to the beach, go walk in the woods, exercise, eat healthy properly in good amounts. And yes, exercise again. Get fresh air, get sunlight, all that good shit. It's all needed to maintain a healthy mind and body, which will in turn make the workplace a lot healthier as well. Because every public safety workplace is completely composed of people. The people are the organization, the people do the work. That organization does not exist without any of the people. It's also a very valuable leadership trait. Know your people, build the team, communicate effectively, openly, up the ranks, down the ranks, side to side, all directions. Sure, people are taking care of themselves. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope everybody stays safe and gets the fuck out of the way for the big ass storm that's coming and keeps himself in a safe place from all of the human caused shit going on. Again, I'm Dr. Tom McKnight, and have a good day.